We'll get there.
Right? It's just us chickens anyway. It's all good, right? Of course, it's all good. Hello and welcome everybody. It is I, the lady who writes the blues. And it is my best friend, my brother. I hope you know him. My technical producer, Tom. Do you hear an echo? I think I hear a tiny echo, but it turned out I had YouTube volume on my other browser, so I'm just having a day.
Yes.
How is everybody?
They're coming in and out. Megan did a little drive-by.
Oh, Megan's doing a drive-by. Not supposed to be here, but thank you, darling. So that Megan brings up an excellent point. In case you did or did not know, Charlie, C.E. Dorset, Project Shadow, composed an intro and an outro for us, and you're going to get both today. We'll play the outro, which I accidentally played for like a split second at the start of the show. We'll play the whole thing at the end. And yeah, isn't it wonderful? Charlie did that for us. Love you, darling. So it is, right now, it is 83 degrees here, and there are storms coming through. It's scattered thunderstorms. Like not too long before, just now, before we started the show, we had thunder, and before that we had this lovely sort of theatrical rain that was like a curtain of whispery rain sounds. Like it was like perfect for going to sleep to. So, God forbid if something happens, like we lose power, hang on, and we'll get back on. Hopefully our phones will still have 4G, 5G coverage, 6G, 15G, whatever it is now. I don't know. Thank you, Eva. Tom made the intro with Charlie's music. I asked for as many animals as possible, not just for our pet episode today, but for all episodes for this season because, I just wanted to see cuteness. And also, he couldn't find any goat videos, so I'm just saying, if anybody has goat videos or bunnies, I had asked for goats and bunnies and guinea pigs, but unfortunately, there wasn't really much in the way of Creative Commons stuff. But I'm just saying, if you have any, let us know. So anyhow, here we are. Oh, no echo. Excellent. And I presume that at some point the awkward sibling music will be available for you to jam to on Spotify. I don't know, but I presume. And I hope you all enjoy it. We wanted something sort of Addams Family. And I feel like we're getting a cross between Addams Family and 1980s, 90s NPR intros, which we really like. Very PBS. We are here for it. So, here we are. Yes, I agree. I will do my best to beg sweetly. All right, Tom, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I mean, we survived July. That's right. The important part.
By the skin of our teeth.
So we're here. We're talking pets. I mean, if nothing else, we have lots of pet stories.
Yes, this is a subject Tom definitely wanted to do. So this is what we are doing to get started. If anybody would like to join us for our other episodes, we have a lineup available. Let us know. And if and we'll send it to you if you'd like to see what episodes you'd like to join us on.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, pets are very important. I mean, as you were kind of saying, pets by their nature are also neurodivergent.
By human neurotypical standards, all pets that humans have, with the exception of maybe rocks, are neurodivergent to neurotypical humans. Okay,
I feel like you're just making a comment there about NTs with the pet rock.
Anything about neurotypicals. I'm just saying, like, rocks don't have brainwaves, so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna
subtle there, subtle.
I'm gonna walk away from it.
But yes, pets are very much they are emotion. They always have to do emotional connections, whether they are mammals or not. I mean, I've definitely seen some very affectionate ball pythons.
Yes, I have actually met some very affectionate ball pythons as well.
And we've even seen a few interesting, close friendships with, a few aquarium fish. It's always interesting.
Yes. Well,
but yeah, so pets are a good way to kind of help us work on our nonverbal communication. I mean, pets are almost entirely nonverbal, so you really have to pick up on what are they trying to do. What are they trying to communicate? Except for huskies. Huskies are little manipulative children who will learn to say "I love you" just because it will make you weaker and give them treats.
It's so creepy. Oh, every time huskies try to talk to people, oh, it's so disturbing. Talk about in my uncanny valley, but okay. Ha ha ha. I have to say, like, I can't be sure about your ex, Barrett, but the ball pythons I've met who are rather affectionate, seem to be somewhat domesticated, are more affectionate than most exes I know. Unless we're talking about my stalker exes, which anyway. So, yes. Yeah, birds, some fish, some snakes, dogs and cats, goats. I knew one person who had a mini horse as a pet / one to help them if they fell, help them get up. So assisted as well. It wore tiny little toddler sneakers. It was so cool. Y'all, it wore sneakers in the house. This little horse. It was so cool. And it really was strong. So, yeah, that was pretty awesome. But it also had its own opinions. Oh,
yeah, it was very opinionated.
It had lots of opinions. It had strong opinions about Italian dressing. It be what it be. So anyhow.
You mean versus your dachshund had very strong opinions about ranch? And that no matter what food it was on, she could always lick the ranch off. Yes. So all ranch should go through her before the plate was removed to the kitchen.
That is true. She was the ranch cleaner. Yes. She would put her little paw down on the lettuce leaf and lick all the ranch off and then nudge it to flip the leaf over and then lick the other side clean of ranch. She was, truly the definition of dogged. I know, Barrett, a pony with shoes. Yeah. Well, okay, so it turns the reason why you put shoes on them is because their hooves are actually rather delicate. Since it's pretty much just the same material as nails, only honestly somewhat softer, the smaller mini ponies. And so that's why you put them in sneakers, like little toddler sneakers, instead of shoeing them because the horseshoes would tear up your floor. And I guess they had yet to invent plastic shoes, like horseshoes.
Oh, they do have them now.
They do have them now, but this was 15 years ago, and I gather most farriers Furriers? It's
Farrier.
hard to pronounce
So
with
it's
the southern
farrier.
accent.
Farrier.
Okay, farrier. Most farriers at that point in Mississippi and Alabama were not familiar with shoeing mini ponies with plastic horseshoes. So they put them in toddler sneakers and just tied the sneakers on. And they kept them on because, they clip-clop. They put them in little light-up toddler ones, y'all. I mean, it was an assisted pet, like it was meant there to help them. They had POTS. What is it? Posterior orthostatic. Remember POTS?
Postural orthostatic tachycardia.
Yes. So essentially fainting spells. And that was the job of the mini pony, was to steady them and help get them to a couch quickly so they could hold on to the horse and be guided to the couch as they would kind of lose consciousness a little bit. And the horse was had big enough shoulders they could actually kind of shove them onto the couch. And so, yeah. But yeah, in order for them to see the horse even at night, because the horse would just go walking anytime during the day or night. So when the lights are off, they put them in little light up sneakers, little toddlers. Y'all, it was precious.
I mean, one of the things people don't talk about much until they've actually had them is horses are really giant dogs.
They are big
they
dogs.
really behave so similarly. They have the same food and toy interests.
Yes.
Which is why if you go to a what do you call it? A feed store
or a co-op,
you will see for horse stuff what is the amount to give to a horse and what's the amount to give to a dog by pound.
Yeah. So, my dachshund, may she rest in peace. She had arthritis. Yes, I was telling you, man. She had arthritis, and so I needed to get glucosamine and stuff.
Yeah.
And something with an M, like M.
Glucosamine and chondroitin, and what
was it, MCG or something? I don't remember. Anyway,
yeah,
it was something, and it was for arthritis, right? At the pet store, it was $20 for a little packet that would barely last a month for her. But at the farm co-op, it was like a 3-pound bag for $7. But on the back label, it told you how much to give a horse and then how much to give a dog. You give actually more by weight to a dog than you do to a horse, which I thought was actually rather fascinating. But yeah, it turns out horse physiology and dog physiology are surprisingly similar when it comes to medications. That they can have almost identical medications. And in fact, they have surprisingly close prescription amounts. Rather, close together, even though they have dramatically different weights, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, their metabolisms are very different, which is why you tend to why dogs need more, because they process this through quicker.
So, that was how we found out about horses, and then did more research out of just pure curiosity. But yes, you can have a mini pony as a pet, and they're actually approximately the same size as Great Danes, sometimes smaller than Great Danes. So, but because ponies are a bit sturdier, they are more useful to people who need essentially assistance in medical situations than a dog necessarily would be. So for tall people, like men, over 6 feet, really, and in particular for men over 6'4", if they need a guide dog or, someone to help them because they do have fainting spells. So a mini pony is actually what's recommended because they are so much sturdier and they can actually physically support the weight of a full-grown adult much better than most dogs can. But you just put little toddler shoes on them, and they light. She didn't have to get the ones that lit up, but she chose to so that she could see the horse walking around at night because it was a darker colored horse, so it looked like shadow at night. And so so she would stop thinking there was a ghost in the house for a moment because it was very quiet.
But like any real pet, has their own life.
They have their own thoughts.
If they don't need to be beside you, they'll go off, do their own little thing.
Yeah, and they can tell when humans are not feeling well. When they apparently, I guess we give off odors, so dogs and horses can smell when somebody's about to have a fainting spell for POTS, and other related type medical conditions, and they can actually come near before the person feels symptoms. So they'll come back, even from other floors in the house. They'll be like, oh, here
versus,
I am.
How many times did Cassie leave the room whenever you started playing certain music?
Cassie was a wonderful dog. She was really the light of my life. She was my sunshine. But she had an axe to grind about Queen, the band. And she would just leave the room. She just would not stay when I was playing Queen. Pretty much any other band, The Who, Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, she was fine with. But Queen, she's like, I got to get out of here. F them. And would leave. Every single time. She would be sleeping and I would play Fat Bottom Girls because, yes, it was one of my workout songs. And she would literally wake up, get herself, and go to another room on the opposite side of the house. No, I will not listen to the... No. And then she would come back once I was done listening to Queen. She had her own opinions. Nobody's perfect. She liked everyone else. She loved show tunes. She loved everyone else. It was just Queen.
She liked EDM.
She loved... Yeah, look, y'all. She loved Mika. She loved all the other gays. It was just Queen. I do not know why. One friend had a theory that she was like their former manager reincarnated or something, and that this was just, look, I may now have been reincarnated as a house dog, but I do not have to put up with this crap, that sort of thing. Yes, she had a personal issue. So it was just Queen. She loved all other music, all other gays, everybody, but it was, Melissa Etheridge she was here for. She loved Melissa Etheridge, actually. And Katie Lynn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she just chilled to that.
Oh, yeah, she loved it. But not Queen. No, it was personal. She just had her own opinions. And I thought it was great to have an animal that had opinions rather than they're just sort of like a fleshy Tamagotchi. I did not want a fleshy Tamagotchi. I wanted, something that was like an animal that was truly their own person. And Cassie was that. Hi, Laura. So, Tom, what's on your list to talk about today?
What
do we have? Now that we educated everybody did you know you could get a mini pony for medical reasons? You can train them to go poop outside. This lady did. And I mean, this horse did not go inside, which is also why the horse was allowed to go in and out anytime. She had a horse door. She had a pony door to her backyard, y'all.
Just a miniature door, really, at that point. It's just a kid's door.
It was a mini door. And it was a huge swinging door within a door, y'all. And yeah, I thought it was great. Now in the wintertime, she had to actually use a proper door because the mini door didn't fully insulate. It didn't. So then the pony'd have to wake her up, and then they'd go out together in the winter and all pee together. And it was, apparently it was a bonding experience. I don't know. But yeah, now that we've all educated you, I thought everyone knew about mini ponies because for a while I was really looking into it, but life just didn't work out that way. It's hard to get people to approve your rental lease if you have a mini pony. It is what it is.
There's a lot of prejudice. There's a lot of pony prejudice out there.
There's a lot. Okay. Yeah.
What I really wanted to get at with this episode is the benefits for neurodivergent people and pets. How they are therapeutic, even if they are not trained as therapy animals, they are still therapeutic in their effects. And that they are highly beneficial. If at all possible, people should have pets.
I would dare to argue that it's not just neurodiverse people who benefit from pets, but everyone. Because I go with the Maria Montessori philosophy of if it works for, your special needs students, if it works for those with special needs, it works for everyone. And I would definitely say that I think I've seen enough neurotypical people benefit from the unconditional love and affection of a pet, and they've really come out of their shell as well, that I would argue that it's not just neurodiverse people. It is, of course, neurodiverse people, but also just everybody can benefit from pets. However, I know that financially not everyone can afford pets at all points in their life, especially, you know, as a millennial, it's a dicey situation.
Yeah.
But if it is possible, I mean, I wish there was a way to like borrow a dog for an hour or two multiple times a week. Just to go for a walk, go to the dog park with them, maybe take them to go get a puppuccino. Have my needs.
Who doesn't love doing that?
They're so cute when they. All right. Well, at least with the dachshund, when they get the puppuccino, and oh, they're so cute. Thank you, darling. Yes, if you are so inclined, if you are having a good time with us, consider clicking the like button. It would be great, but it is not required. We're still happy you're here. Lurk to your heart's content. We are happy that you are here hanging out with us, even if it's just in spirit afterwards. It's cool. Eva says, we hope to get a dog soon. Our toddler wants to play with a friend that isn't his parents, and the world isn't making it easy to meet people we can trust currently. Agreed. It's rough. So anyway, neurodivergent people benefit from pets.
Because, I mean, again, I know we look, you know, we appear so normal and a lot of stuff when we're on this show, but it really, you know, hides how, you know, especially as kids, just how difficult it was for us to communicate. And that pets, when we were children, had many benefits, but they were different than pets we've had when we were adults in our 20s and 30s.
True.
There are different things of the, you know, don't stereotype pets into, oh, they just do this. They're just for this type of situation. No, it is something of, it depends on the person, what they can get out of it.
True. Laura says, oh, I was about to read it.
Here, I'll put it back. Sorry.
Laura says there are animal shelters that used to allow volunteers to come play with the puppies and take them for walks, but not anymore with the Great Panini. Agreed. Our local animal shelters used to allow it, and understandably, why not right now? It is what it is. I mean, if you're lurking and you'd like to subscribe, we would absolutely love to have you. It is not required. We are just happy you're here. In whatever.
We have such very direct friends on our chat, don't we?
Yes, they're in a mood, but I am here for it. Such sweetness. Yes, chill cat with us. I also think that pets, and you know, maybe not as much fish necessarily, but I would say fish or snakes, but I would say birds, cats, and dogs, at least from what I have seen, are able to be somewhat adaptive to the needs of the people they live with. So how a pet relationship someone might have had at one point in their life with a different pet or a different time in their life, that relationship or a pet relationship can offer different benefits at another point in life.
It's kind of like that whole deal with you can have more than one friend. Yes. That you can have different kinds of friendships with different people.
Yes.
And the same thing goes for pets. And then probably, and let's just get it out of the way, one of the more controversial views, especially Glory has more strongly, and I'm catching up with her.
Oh dear, what?
About pets, which is, do not have just one pet alone. That is not very kind to someone you love, because you will need to leave at times and you can't always take them with you. They need a friend too.
Yeah. Most of the pets that we as humans tend tend to be animals that also are pack animals to varying degrees. And I would include cats here. I know a lot of people think of cats as lone predators, but in fact, we have found that cats just have a different definition of a pack. They are very much more comfortable with more space, physical space between them and other members of their pack, but they still very much are, I don't exactly want to use the word territorial, but they are very much emotionally attached to other members of their group. And when they even go an hour or two without it, they experience anxiety. So it can be helpful, especially like you got to leave the house to go grocery shopping even. It can be an anxious experience for pets, for like a lone pet. If there's no other creature to keep them company. And it seems like cats are often quite chill, but we find that cats just don't communicate their distress necessarily as obvious to us. And again, that's why it's not like you have to have two cats, but having a cat and say a dog can still be comforting to both animals, even if they're not what we would necessarily say like, oh, they don't like sleep together or anything. They're not super close necessarily, but it's comforting that they're not alone in the house.
Or even we've seen people with, a cat or a dog and a rabbit.
Right.
Like, you'd be surprised if you can introduce them young to each other. They can often find ways to play together and understand each other.
Well, I mean, remember Slick and Andy? So I used to have, I had a hamster first, and I had asked the pet store worker for a male, but that is not what I got. It turned out, because my hamster turned out to be already pregnant a few weeks into having, but I had already named the hamster Slick Willie after a prior president. Because every time I tried to hold a hamster, shoop, shoop, shoop. So, like, I wasn't trying to hold the hamster too hard. And so the hamster would get out. So anyway, so that's why we called him Slick Willie until it was very obvious the hamster had either an enormous tumor or was pregnant. Shortcut, the hamster got out, had the babies. I don't know what happened. Came back, I guess, when they were done, because they came back not pregnant. And from then on, we stopped calling him Slick Willie and called her Slick. Or
Slick Wilhelmina.
Slick Wilhelmina. But mostly just Slick. So anyway, and then a little while later, a friend of mine had feral kittens board under her trailer. And I ended up taking the runt. And so they were kind of friends for a while. I then had to get rid of the cat because the owners of my apartment complex changed. And the new owners were not allowing, even though my lease said I could have a cat. And I'd already paid the deposit. Anyway, that was a whole nother thing. I had to move out because these people were just as shady as all get out. Well, anyway, so a friend of mine took Andy, Andromeda, in. And several years, well, a year and a half-ish later, I lived in a place where I could have a cat again. And my friend was like, here, you want to take this cat back? And I was like, oh, sure, yes. Well, anyway, so Slick and Andy were reunited. And I would put Slick in a hamster ball and was like worried that Andy would Andy was very much a feral cat. So she was a very good mouser. Pretty much there was any toad.
Assassin, you mean?
Yes. If there was any toad in the house, it was not going to be alive long. And Andy was the kind of cat who would play with a mouse till it died of a heart attack. 4 hours. Y'all, like, I used to try to keep an eye out and get them away from her. Anyway. But not Slick. She never did anything shady with Slick. She used to wait till Slick saw her, and then she would run and let Slick catch up and chase her. And they would do this for like a half hour, an hour at a time, with the hamster mostly rolling the whole time, chasing the cat. And every time Andy would run, she'd go, meow, and scamper a little bit, and then wait for the hamster to catch up. And that was how they'd play. And I never like really introduced the hamster to Andy. She just knew. She just knew, like, this is not one of those that we eat or kill. This is just one we play with. And she and Slick got out a couple of times, and I was so sure Andy was, gonna do something. But Andy would just watch her and wait, and then sometimes try to fetch me of like, oh, is Slick out? Because Slick sometimes couldn't get back in her cage. Like she would wait. Like sometimes the hamster would be halfway to come into my room to like come get me to put her back in her cage. Anyway, it's a whole nother matter. But like that's how our family was. They understood each other, and obviously they seemed to comfort each other. Because often when I would come home, Andy would be in the room I kept Slick and her cage in. Because she had like I had a whole like little hamster world for Slick to play in. And Andy would tend to be in there keeping Slick company, and Slick wasn't agitated. She was very relaxed, very eating things fat, like happy fat. So, just saying, it's helpful to have more than one creature if you are going to have a pet, so they can keep each other company. And they do not necessarily need to be the same species at all for them to be happy together while you're gone. So Eva just wants woodland creatures to visit and hang out sometimes. I think that's where you get a feeder, right? Isn't that how you get woodland creatures?
Yeah.
Squirrels, anyway.
Salt licks.
Salt licks, yeah, it's another way. Although deer are so dirty. I mean, I have mixed feelings about deer. Not the crawly ones?
But yeah, just having multiple ones so that they always have something around to be with. I mean, also Andy was friend. We're kind of playing back in our heads some of what she would do with the aquarium because we weren't sure at the time. I mean,
okay. So a friend of mine was from New Orleans, a different friend, and she had moved up to where we live, 2.5 hours away from New Orleans. To go to university. Well, to get her, I think she was working a master's or doctorate. I don't really remember. And it got to a point where she was actually going to have to move. I think she must have been a master's because she was going to have to move somewhere else for her doctorate. And she knew she was not going to be able to move with her 2 angelfish. She had 2 angelfish. I think at the time they were like 6 and 7 years old. And they had survived Hurricane Katrina. At the time, she'd been living
in New Orleans.
She'd been living with her parents in New Orleans. And her parents' house, the first story, had been underwater for 2 months with the fish there, by the way. And the fish had survived. I think that, and she had left the cover off the aquarium when they left the house to escape impending Hurricane Katrina. And the fish had survived, obviously swimming around the house for like 2 months, and then had gotten back in their aquarium, I guess, when the water levels were getting low. Or maybe one of them was, anyway, this doesn't matter. That's not part of the story. So she had asked me to take Biggie and Smalls. That was their names. And they were geriatric angelfish, y'all.
Guess her musical taste.
Yes. I mean, they were, what are you going to do? They were named Biggie and Smalls. And so, but she gave me everything, all the aquarium equipment, everything. She just wasn't going to be able to take them with her because she was moving like across the country and she couldn't find an apartment that she could be sure it was a lot of upheaval. So, I had it, and I would catch Andy, the cat, often coming home. Slick had already died. Slick had passed away. And this was probably like, I don't know, a year or so later. And I would come home and catch Andy just watching the fish. And I'm like, that cat. But the more I thought about it was, Andy didn't even like tuna. She liked canned chicken. She did not even care for crawfish or catfish or canned tuna. I don't think she was like looking at the fish like, yeah, I'm going to
eat. She put her paw on the water sometimes.
Yeah. And then the fish would swim by. They were not fearful of her. So I'm like, now that I recently found out that fish like to be tickled, like a bunch of different species of fish enjoy being tickled, y'all. Then I'm like, was she tickling the fish? Was this like another pet relationship?
Pets for your pet?
By our standards, they are neurodivergent from us. So that means that their behaviors don't necessarily make sense to us, but they make sense to themselves. And so it's like a truly foreign language because it's a very different language. It's not like, oh, you're an English speaker and you're learning French, which is still one of the Romance languages. It's like if you're an English speaker and, you're trying to learn Papua New Guinean. This language is in no way familiar to, Romance languages and how they are constructed. There's nothing similar about it. They don't even have all the same phonemes as us. So what are they saying? And also their cultural meanings are different. That's the equivalent of trying to understand our pets. Is we're truly learning an entirely foreign language and nothing about it helps us make sense of it. We have to just learn by being together and observing and then, slightly experimenting. Eva says, and some other small but not so small as a chameleon or newt-sized dry land lizard that bit a kid at show and tell and wouldn't let go. I mean, that does happen. Like geckos will bite and not let go. At least from my personal experience. George, my chameleon, ran away once. Found him a month later, hopping down the stairs, one tail short. It happens.
Yeah, so want to talk about, like, for us as kids, pets were really good to kind of help us learn empathy. With something that was truly, nonverbal and is obviously cute. We want to interact with it, but we don't know how. And so you have to learn to recognize body language. And, the reward is an animal that likes you back. And so it's a great way to kind of learn these skills. Because, I try not to think too much about myself as a kid and my lack of empathy for anything. Like, it took me a long time to learn empathy.
It was a struggle to teach you that when we were younger.
Yes.
So pretty much what I found was the way to teach it to you was first you just do as you're told, and then later, as your brain further develops, you learn why afterwards. But first, it's just do it. Just do as you are told. You feed the animal every day, however many times a day it needs. And you don't only feed it when you feel like it. You don't only feed it when you think it needs it. You just do as you are told. You follow the schedule. And that includes, dictating, you pet it this many, pet it at least twice a day or however many, whatever works. And because I remember telling you with Slick, you can put her in her hamster ball up to twice a day, but you have to tell me if you've done it so that I don't put her in an extra third time because it tends to exhaust her too much. And she gets a little stressed. Like I could tell because she acts funny in her cage afterwards. That she only likes to be out in the ball twice a day for 30 to 60 minutes. And you can't leave her out in that ball for like an hour and a half. It's not okay. So just like teaching you the rules that you don't have to understand the rules. You just follow the rules. And then what we found was over time, they started to make sense to you.
Yeah.
Once your brain developed enough for the empathy circuits to work, then you understood why. But before that, just follow the rules. Just follow the rules. Trust the rules. This is how you keep a pet healthy and happy and wanting to be around you.
Yeah, so I was in my mid-20s before the empathy really started to begin functioning. And if anything, in our family, we all have a notable thing where in our late teenage years into our early 20s, we actually lose a lot of empathy. To the point that we'll notice it. And it's just you get through it. It's just part of how our brains develop.
Yeah.
All through our mom's side. Like it's just a known thing.
Mm-hmm.
and then it comes back around the time you're 25,
Mhm.
and you're fine. Just don't do anything in the meantime you might regret later.
Right. Like becoming an assassin.
Yes. And I know that this is a regular thing because I've even seen a few movies about this, like what was it, Grosse Point Blank with John Cusack.
Yes. Yes.
But so yeah, it was here's the behaviors you do first, and then you will understand later why this works. But
I was just going to say I really appreciate that with, the internet being so widespreadly available. It's really lovely to be able to just find an expert in that kind of animal and read articles or watch videos by them where they explain how to, take care of them the best. And so I can, essentially, I don't have to deal with this learning curve. So I could just hit the ground running with best care practices possible for an animal. By the way, these are true of also little human people too. I'm just saying, it's available, freely available. And so it's very helpful. So you don't have to figure it out the hard way. They'll just tell you how to take care of whatever animal and whatever breed. If we're talking about dogs, cats, birds, things. Eva says, my mother's dog started crying for my mother on the way to our house. 2 cars, mom and me in one, and the dog with the others in our car. My son was like, it's okay. It's okay. She's right there. Yeah. And other soothing sentences. I know. Isn't it so cute when our little humans already understand how to comfort others and they're practicing, they're using what they've learned? Isn't it just yeah. My empathy seems to have been working at least by the time I was 5 or 6, versus Tom's didn't really kick in till his mid-20s.
yeah. I had a little bit in my early teens, and then late teens, it just started disappearing more and more till I was 19. It's I have no empathy. I am worried, Mom. What am I turning into?
Yes, I had noticed in my very late teens, I think, what was it, around 16? I started noticing that I wasn't as distressed by other people's distress as I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it really got to be undeniable for me around 22. And that was when I actually talked to Mom about it. And Mom was like, don't worry, it'll come back in your mid-20s. And I'm like, I don't know, this is pretty bad. She's like, how bad? And I'm like, I could be an assassin bad. And she's like, okay, number 1, don't. You'll regret it later. And I'm like, will I? She's like, yes, because it'll come back. Everyone in our family is like this. Don't worry. It'll come back somewhere between 25 and 27. And you know what? She was right. 25 and a half. And it was it was like a switch turned on. I don't know what happened. Other than my amygdala had obviously developed enough, because I also noticed I had more impulse control too, which was a very pleasant surprise because, yeah, me and impulses. Eva says, it's lovely that you and this channel are consistently helping highlight aspects of human life that benefit and harm using casual conversation. Aw, thank you. We try. We do try. I love Grayson's one. Little people too. Grayson, if you want to be a little person, you can always be a little person. Yes, you're such a person, though. Short folk, yes. Our mom was 4'6". We absolutely agree about short folks.
I say every time Grayson posts up pictures from when they were younger,
right?
And I see that smile on Grayson's face.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, I believe every devious story Grayson has told.
Yes. Yeah, every devious story, both on screen and back behind the stage. Yes. Yes, which, of course, by the way, Grayson, we'd love to chat with you. We had an idea for a fairy tale story that we want to collab with you on. So sometime we would love to, chit-chat. When you're feeling up for it. Yes, you can be all the little people you want to be. Little people can be little people of any age. Small humans. It's all good. Okay. So should we do a break now? and then we'll come back. I would like to suggest everybody consider getting a snack. Tom has made us lovely milkshakes today. What did you make it with?
Strawberry cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake milkshakes. And homemade guacamole and salsa. Well, the salsa's not homemade, but so I know what I'm snacking on during our break. I would like to heavily encourage you to maybe go find your party food, because it's a party, y'all. Okay, we're going to celebrate that we all made it through July. We're going to celebrate it because, yay, we made it. It's going to be grand. So let me go pull up. Okay, we do not have apparently the other videos posted, so there's no interstitial today. But we do have a lovely puppy timer for us, since we were talking about pets. Laura's lovely puppy timer. To get us started in our 10-minute break. So, as I said, snacks are not required. If you are not in a snacky mood, you don't have to. But we just figured it would be fun to kind of have party food. Maybe a little popcorn. Maybe just, something you enjoy eating. A piece of fruit, perhaps. Again, I'm not trying to push the food agenda. I'm just saying, something, maybe you just want to dance. I would like to recommend some fun music. And we will catch you back here in about 10 minutes where we will talk about more pets. I don't know. What are we going to talk about next? Do you know, Tom?
It just ran out of my head.
We have no idea.
All I have loaded up in my head right now is a fun fact.
Okay.
Which is whenever emergency personnel encounter a situation where, especially in the past, before all the technology we have now, of someone who was either nonverbal or spoke a language that no one in the area spoke, they would often take them to the local vet instead of the doctor, because vets are trained how to understand nonverbal communication. Since none of your animals can tell them, and they all communicate in a different way, so vets are actually uniquely qualified to find out what's causing illnesses with people if they can't say anything.
It's true. So something to think about while we take a 10-minute break, and we will catch you back here. And also, please remember, hydrate or dihydrate. It matters. We want you here. Okay. We will see y'all in a moment. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Hello there.
Hello again.
How did we all do? Did we achieve the things we wanted to do?
Almost. I'm still uploading the bio break interstitials.
Ah.
But I did make popcorn.
Ah, very nice. I saw that you got the Let's All Go to the Lobby video, since it is beyond copyright. And has, I think, somehow been entered in the Library of Congress. Something. Historical, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the milkshake. It's delicious.
You're welcome. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with the milkshake, isn't it?
I feel like it's hard to go wrong with ice cream and milk. Like, yeah. I've had Hedwig in my head the whole break. I've just been bopping along inside of my head. Put on some makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Turn on the 8-track. Yeah, the whole thing. Okay. Eva says, I have some notebooks and things to organize, and then my office tidy is done. Excellent. I'm dragging. Hope I get past this law before I crash. It's 6:30 p.m. for the night. Agreed. You can do it. You can do it. We believe in you. Grayson says, I went to the kitchen and completely forgot why I was there. Oh, there's a mood. Darling, take us with you. We'll all go to the kitchen together and you do the things. I mean, ramen is delicious. I'm just saying. I don't know. What you feel like making, Grayson? Tell us from here, from your office desk. And then when you go there, you can be like, wait, what was it going to make? Is it popcorn? What? Tell us. Let us live vicariously anyway.
I've really been enjoying just making grits lately in the microwave. Get them mostly cooked, beat in a few eggs, and then add some butter and salt at the end. You know, essentially get a grit souffle.
Mm-hmm.
Got protein, carbs, and fats all in there. It's a balanced meal.
No word on vegetables, but okay.
You know, when I remember.
Okay. I had salsa and guacamole and tortilla chips because where I'm from, salsa and tortilla chips is a party, y'all. Or at least maybe it's the age I am. I don't know. But I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've met for drinks and salsa and chips. Like, hey, we'll meet for salsa and chips and we'll have a couple margs. It'll be great. Mm-hmm. Tom, you want to go over your recipe right quick?
The simplified one. So
I've taught Tom how to soak his grits first. You get good results. Like, y'all, people don't talk about it. You're going to get better results if you soak, even quick grits. You're going to get much better results if you soak them before you heat them. Okay.
It definitely is a, CYA type. So what I have so you get a microwave safe container. I tend to use the plastic containers the Chinese restaurants use. That, it's like a 16-ounce container.
Actually, it's a 30-ounce because I buy them on Amazon for him.
And so I'll make 2 cups worth of grits, which is, since we have a kitchen scale, it's 92 grams of grits, and then 16 ounces of water. And the trick I found is 2 minutes on high, stir, move it away from the edges. 2 minutes on high again, stir. It's now mostly cooked. And then another minute or so on high to finish. And now you just crack 2 eggs in there, mix it in, Let it cook at 50% power for 2 or 3 minutes. 3 minutes really. And the eggs are now completely cooked in there. And then just mix in some butter and salt and some cheese, or instead of butter, you can also use cheese, like some Colby Jack. And you got a meal right there.
It's
if you
delicious.
have frozen veggies, put those in when you put the eggs in, and it's all actually put the veggies in at the beginning.
Yeah, because
just have them cook with the grits,
like a little spinach or broccoli
or mixed veggies.
Yeah.
If anything, the mixed veggies work really well if you put them in, because it keeps it from boiling over.
Mm.
It really helps keep the water, this thing from boiling up.
Mm-hmm.
And there you got a meal with a little bit of stirring, and you're good. Yeah, that's the kind of grits I'm talking about.
You're using grits, aren't you?
I'm using 5-minute grits.
Well,
whatever does qualify.
I thought the bag said quick grits rather than instant grits. It's not stone ground either.
No.
Well, I think it's important to mention.
True. Although, good luck finding stone ground grits, in a grocery store. I have a separate one for eggs and ramen noodles. I like the microwave because you can't burn things. It really helps, especially when you're ADD. All right, so we're back.
Okay. Do you remember what you wanted to talk about? Nope. It's all gone.
All gone.
All gone. Everything you had planned, you did not write down.
No, I did not.
So we just have another hour to kill. Minimum. Because that's the joke about calling the awkward sibling hour.
It's never just an hour.
It's never just an hour. Well, let's just play the game. What do you want to talk about?
Cassie.
Okay. What about her? I mean, she was pretty cool. She was a cool dog.
How she helped you
blossom,
grow up in ways you didn't realize you hadn't grown up. Like, I mean, she really did help you learn, like, how to do friendships. I mean, that's nice.
Yeah, no, go on.
I'm saying that's the other nice part about pets is, one of the things you like to bring up recently, as they've found in autism, is, with the zebra finches, it's hard to learn from other humans.
That is true.
And so things that you can learn either through animals or through video or reading are easier in general for autistic people. And so there's actually a lot of social things we can learn with pets because we don't have the same issues as with other humans.
That is true. Okay, so with autistic individuals in particular, although one could make an argument that it's most neurodivergent people, but you know what? But at least with autistic people, the real disordered part comes with communication, but specifically the receiving end. Receiving communication from other humans does not go as planned like it does with neurotypicals. When you tell a neurotypical child, always look both ways before you cross the street. Now repeat it back to me so I know you'll remember it. And then that child always knows. Now, do they always do it? Not necessarily, because if they're trying to be naughty or something, sure. But they're conscious of the directive. A neurodivergent child, specifically an autistic child, you'll tell them, they will like repeat back, it's in there, and then later it won't even occur to them when they're at a street and they want to cross, oh wait, I was told not to. Like the brain does not activate that circuit, that memory the same way. So there is this difficulty in teaching human to human when we're talking about autistic people. However, dogs are not people. I mean, dogs are people, but dogs are not human people. And so the things we learn from our pets, it's actually easier for us to retain that knowledge, interestingly enough. I think it's really cool. So the things we can be taught by other animals, cats, dogs, birds, octopus, I'm throwing that out there. That kind of lesson tends to stick faster in the brain than when a human tries to teach it. You know how like people talk about, oh, that child is just stubborn. You tell them what to do and they repeat it back to you, but then later they didn't do it. No, they said they didn't remember, but they just didn't want to. They're just being stubborn. They're being willful. And it's like, it's not willfulness. They'd first have to be able to incorporate that knowledge truly in their brain, and that's where the problem is happening. It's not actually sinking in. So one of the things I recognized as a problem when I was even as middle school, teenager, and in my 20s was people would tell me that I didn't know how to be a good friend. And I didn't quite understand what that meant. They'd say, well, you're just not available when I want to play. And I'm like, because I am doing schoolwork or I'm doing what my mother told me to do. Like, we just don't make time for me. I call you every weekend that I can. Let me tell you, I've learned neurotypicals suck at communicating. I'm just going to say it. Look, like they're so used to phoning it in when you communicate with other neurotypicals. But when they got to actually like communicate hard, nothing there, I said it. It's just my opinion. But Cassie taught me how to actually be a good friend, which is when you are there, be there. When you are there together, whenever you are there together, you are actually there together rather than just two people sitting in the same room. And that there are a lot of ways to be together in the room without talking. Because I could talk to Cassie all I want, but I'm just doing it for myself for the most part. Now, that said, just so you know, dachshunds are capable of at least a 600-word vocabulary, no matter how much they lie. They are capable of it. And she certainly had at least a 600-word vocabulary. I think she honestly had more like an 800-word vocabulary. She understood up, down, in, out, treat, snack, dinner. She understood walk. Hey, Laura. Oh, everyone is here. Hello, sweetie baby. Hold up. Let's do a big Roy. Oh, there we are. Oh, that face. Oh my goodness.
Hello.
He's even cuter than Muppets can attain.
Seriously, that's a Muppet you got there. You have achieved Muppet. Congratulations.
Thank you. You slept on my bed for the first time last night.
Nice.
No accidents, which was great.
It's awesome. Hello, Heather. Hello, Diana. So, Laura, have you come to hang out, or do you have here, I got a hot take?
Nah, just to hang out.
Just checking, because we definitely want to give you that space. So, okay, so where was it about Cassie? Okay. Oh, so what I learned, Cassie taught me, as all I had to do to be a good friend, it turned out, was I just mirrored Cassie. When I would get home, she would like, hi, I'm so happy to see you. And I'm like, I'm so happy to see you. It's been a solid several hours. And she's like, let me show you the house. It's still here. I didn't tear it down. And I'd be like, yay.
Hi, Loki.
Loki saying hi, yes. And I'd be like, that's fantastic. Let me put all my stuff down. I mean, not like Cassie necessarily understood, but I think she actually understood stuff. It's usually my bag. And, then we would have our little thing. And then, like, as soon as I could, I would sit down so that she could be on my level. And there would be pettings. And I'd be like, how are you? And then she would just calm down. And then that was it. And then I could then go about my day, do the things I needed to do. Yes. Really, the Roy show. Just so y'all know. It's the Roy show. And I used to think there was more to necessarily being a friend than that. But it turns out, for the most part, that's really all that is actually required. To be a good friend is when you see someone, you let them know how excited you are they're there. Hi! It's been wonderful. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
It's been 3 minutes.
It's been a solid 3 minutes.
And the same actually for kids, too.
Yeah, actually.
Like what they want from adults mostly is simply the acknowledgement that they're there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We can communicate real quick. Is there anything you need? No, I just want to say, hey, I'm glad to see you. And then, you can go back to your own thing. But it's that check-in.
Yeah. So, and anytime she'd walk in the room, she'd look at me. I'd look at her. We'd make eye contact. And then she'd go about walking into the next room she was planning on walking into. The house I lived in primarily when I had Cassie had no hallways. It was before hallways were really big. And the house was that old. So, yes. Do you see him? He's mugging.
Yeah, there was a time before hallways.
Yeah.
It's a weird thought, I know.
So there were no hallways to walk in. So she would just walk through rooms. She'd have to walk through each room to get to another room. And so she would just acknowledge me. I'd acknowledge her. She would be happy with that. And then she'd move on to whatever. And it turned out that's what the cat wanted too. I didn't quite realize it.
Uh-huh.
But Cassie was more expressive than Andy. And so I learned that whenever Andy would then walk through the room, I would just look at her. She would look at me and then she would move on to whatever she was doing. And then she was fine. She actually was in a better mood and she tended to then come sit near me. Not necessarily close enough to pet because cats, but she would be quite content. She wouldn't be on watch. She would just relax and just sit like, what was it? What did I talk about? House ornaments. She would just be a house ornament. And it worked out well. That was what Cassie taught me, was a lot of people would give me all these reasons why they didn't feel like I was as much of a friend as they wanted. But every reason was not, I just want you to be happy to see me. And then for us to sit and do whatever we had already planned to do. Like if they had just simply said that, I could have actually done that. And instead it was every other reason on the sun. But it turns out if I just do that, if I just like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. And then go about whatever, we're going to watch a movie, we're going to eat, whatever. Just go about it normal. That's actually what people really wanted.
It's how we learn to, do the hello.
Yes.
So just, quick acknowledgement. Because it also gives a moment for both sides to see, are they needed by the other person?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just all these little subtle communications, and it's a lot more difficult and socially upsetting to have to make those moments versus if you both have agreed upon communication styles.
Right.
You're not going on the table, dude.
So one of the things was a dog park had recently opened up soon after I got Cassie. She was a rescue dog, but she was still quite young when I got her. She was less than 6 months old.
Yeah.
So there was a dog park that opened up in the next town over. And I learned that I would take her there because I just wanted to take her. She was a puppy. And I was just trying to get the energy out of her because, oh, wow. Even though she was a tiny dachshund, she had so much energy. It was just so exhausting. I would take her for 2-3 walks a day across the street at the walking track, and it still wasn't enough to get all the wiggles out of her. And it was like she definitely had some problematic behavior. But I found if I was able to take her to the dog park at least every other day, she would run around with all the other dogs, and she would really get so much energy out that she would sleep very well at night. She wasn't restless.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very helpful. But what I found was Cassie felt appear. It took me like months to figure this out, but Cassie actually felt this was a bonding experience for her and me, because I would just sit on the bench at the dog park watching all the dogs play, which was fun for me. Obviously, I like having dogs. That face is gonna get so licked. But Cassie enjoyed it because she was getting to have fun while I was there. So because she would continually touch base like every 20, 30 minutes. And this was to her still an event we did together. And that's how I found that's actually what regular people want to do too. Is they don't necessarily want to interact with me constantly. They just want to be in the room and we are together and acknowledging that we are together, but we are also doing our own thing.
That's the best kind of roommate.
Right?
Mhm.
But like, I did not know that because I had these two siblings who were always in my face. So I thought that's what people wanted. So Cassie taught me.
He's peeing on the fake grass. He's so
very
good.
nice. You're such a good boy. Yes, 14 out of 10.
Yeah.
So again, Cassie taught me like that is a good part of friendship is we can just be ourselves in the room together, but we don't have to be together to be friends together. And that was very helpful because it was something that humans had not yet been able to explain to me about what they wanted out of friendships with me. So that was another aspect of my relationship with Cassie that made my whole life better. But honestly, the best part about Cassie, for me personally, was literally, including the day she died, she was always happy to see me. Always. She was always ready to show me how happy she was, whatever that level she had to give. Every single day, every single time I'd come in the room, she'd always acknowledge me. When I would come home, she was always happy. She waited till we weren't home and that our neighbors were dog sitting her at their place to pass away. Like, because she wasn't willing to do it when we were together. And to me, that showed like, that was just like unconditional love for me. That she was always happy to see me, no matter what was going on. Y'all, she once broke her tail during a thunderstorm while we weren't home. We were driving from another city, coming back, and a thunderstorm, we didn't know the thunderstorm was coming, and the thunderstorm came, and somehow, what best we could figure, she'd like been startled out of her chair and had fallen on the ground and fallen straight on her tail, and she broke her tail. And she'd been hurting probably for about, I don't know, we figured it could have been more than an hour just by looking at how the weather was traveling. But even when she saw us, she still tried to wag her tail. Then she yelled, because,
Oh,
I know. And then we stopped wagging it, it's hurting. And she's she could not. And it's like, okay, we're going to have to, how do we calm this dog so she won't wag? But even in pain, she was still she was still happy to see us, is what I'm trying to say. And that it turns out is a lot of what makes good friendship, is that you express how happy you are every time you see somebody. Because let's be honest, it doesn't matter how bad my day is. Laura, you still make my day brighter whenever I get to see you.
Aww, ditto.
Did I not say earlier today, Tom? I was like, do you see? Because Tom was telling me, your curls are going up. You need to and I'm like, no, these curls refuse to be tamed today. I've already tried to finger comb them down. And I was like, where is Laura to draw this? That's literally what I said. Didn't I say that, Tom? Yeah, I was like, where is Laura to draw these errant curls? They refuse to be tamed.
I need a haircut, man. It's getting long.
You and me both. It is so
you really you can really do a Weird Al cosplay there now.
Yes. It was the first concert I ever went to.
Oh, that's cool.
I was rewatching Milo Murphy's Law recently.
Yeah, that's a really cute. It's a Disney cartoon.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Milo Murphy's Law.
It's Milo, the main character, is voiced by Weird Al. He helps write a bunch of the songs, and it's essentially in the same universe continuation from Phineas and Ferb.
Okay.
Because Swampy is one of the co-writers and co-producers.
Okay.
But it's it's a new group. Eventually, though, Dr. Doofenshmirtz shows up on the show and stays for the next season as he continues to recover from being a bad guy.
Yes.
But yeah, it's voiced by Weird Al.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So, like, if you like Weird Al, like, it's a good show.
And I love Phineas and Ferb.
So then, yeah, I think that you would really like that show.
Mm-hmm.
There are Doctor Who references in it.
Yes.
Oh, there's a lot. Because there's 2 time-traveling agents trying to prevent the death of pistachios throughout the show, every episode.
There's so much to unpack. There's a lot going on, and it's very wholesome and lovely.
Nice.
So, yeah. But, yeah, like, I think as I said, NT's never told me what they actually want out of friendship, but it turns out what they actually want is to just feel appreciated when they are there.
Because you never know what's been going on, and so you can always kind of play in your head what are other people's lives when you're not there, and it helps a lot friendship wise to just when you see someone to express what your current relationship is, and if it's doing well, then yeah, it helps to express the hey, I'm glad you made it, instead of leaving that person to guess, because for a lot of us, there's just so much anxiety down in a simmer level constantly now.
Preach it.
So anything that will help reduce it, makes for better friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cassie showed a lot of things of what it was to actually share space with someone else in ways that leave you both contented. Because, Cassie would go off, do her own little thing. I mean, there was just, one thing I always have never forgotten is, so we got her little doggy stairs because you cannot let dachshunds jump down or they will hurt themselves. And so you just hear this, and she always had nails. No matter how much we clipped them, she always had nails.
We tried to clip them, and they said that the quick will go back, but it never went back enough on her. And she had one bad incident with a person cutting the quick too close. And so we had to always be careful, because with black nails, it's like, well, there's a crapshoot. But one person actually taught me, like, you just clip under the curve, and you will never get the quick. If you clip black nails below the curve of their nail, it'll be fine. But yeah, so she always had click.
So you just hear clump, and then walking, and then she would load up on water, go take a pee, and then come back. Just took my little bathroom break. Good to see you guys.
Yep.
Someone's destroying the shoebox right now.
He's like, what?
I love that. Like when you raise the camera, he looked back of what? What's going on?
Yeah, you used to have this shoebox. No, you don't need it anymore.
You don't need that shoebox. This is for other purposes now.
Okay,
Exactly.
awkward question, but has he grown bigger?
He looks bigger.
Or is your dad small?
He both. So my dad used to be the same height as my mom, but he's been shrinking.
Oh, okay.
And then he's like, I don't know, 14 pounds now. Which should be as big as he gets. So.
Yeah, because he's also got all that fur.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
On top of, like, because 14 pounds isn't that big for a dog.
Give him a bath on Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
Gosh.
Was
Every
it just
time.
a rat? Was he just a rat?
So excited and zooming afterwards. Just like, you can't catch me. You can't dry me off.
That's fantastic.
Let's see.
And another thing Glory reminded me about was a recent article about how do you handle the non-immediate danger stress of your day. And it's, you need to have...
Burnout.
How to avoid burnout. And part of it is, so you have to signal to your body that you recognize that danger, and you've now done something about it, and you can drop that danger. And one of them is just to, when you get home, you do a quick bit of activity.
Like you could do jumping jacks, or you could dance for like 2-3 minutes, for one song. Anything to essentially tell your brain and your body, we have now run from the lion. We can now relax.
And like one of the things she realized, yes, of why she, one of the reasons Gloria started to burn out at her old job was that it was before, Cassie got really sick and then passed away. Whenever Gloria would come home, Cassie would greet her, always so excited. And when you see someone that excited, you can't help but be excited too. And wiggle on your own.
Hi, how are you?
And you get it all out.
Like Kathy and I would both kind of dance together. We would wiggle and we would prance around each other. And I put my bag down, and then we'd do a little walking around, and then I'd sit down and I'd pick her up, put her on the couch with me. We have a little petting, and then I'd go about whatever it was I actually needed to do, maybe go to the bathroom, go get something to drink, whatever I was about to do. But we would have this little dancey thing that we would do. And then we'd have a little petting. And it was a lovely, essentially kind of signal to the back of my brain that I wasn't aware of, that stressful workday has ended and I am now safe and relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And when she died, I no longer had that. And so the stress just kept building up and up. I never had actually escaped the lion each day. I never actually had the running part or the physical activity part to denote we're safe from the lion.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that stress just built up so quickly at my job. And it was like, it literally was physically making me sick. Till I pretty much had a physical collapse because of the stress at work. But the reason I had a collapse was I hadn't thought about, I need to get physically, do a little dance, a little something at the end of every day to denote I am not there anymore, and just get all the wiggles out, get all the stress out. And that it didn't take long. Because when I get home from a stressful day, it's like the last thing I want to do is go, work out or go walking for 30 minutes, especially in the summer heat down here. Are you kidding? People die that way. It's so hot, and with the humidity, you can die. People do collapse, especially people who move here and who have not been through a Mississippi summer before.
You can always tell because they plan outdoor activities in August.
Right. Yeah. They're planning, they're trying to plan a 5K training in August here, where it's 93-degree high and it's a 85% humidity, and they want to do 5K training. I'm like, have you lost your cotton pick mind?
It's called treadmill.
Right? I ain't doing that outside. Are you nuts? So, I didn't have that release, and that stress built up so quickly. And I mean, that's how I eventually ended up in the hospital, was from all that stress building up in my body, because the body, that stress has to go somewhere. And it was tearing me up inside without me being really aware of what was happening. So it turns out science has now researched burnout and chronic stressors is what they're called. Such as financial stress about the great panini, and so on. They're called chronic stressors because it's not a one-time or an intermittent once in a while stress. It's every day.
Constant.
It's there, and there's no way to escape it. It'll be there tomorrow. It's waiting for you. It's there every day. And so they're called chronic stressors. But there is a way to prevent that kind of stress from building up in your body and making you sick. And that is to do something physical for a moment. And it just does take a moment. A minute or two of anything physically active. And it helps if it's something you're actually having fun at, like dancing to music you like, or dancing with your dog in my case, or, hanging out with friends and doing a little dance, or jumping jacks, or anything.
Or trying to catch a dog to dry them off.
right? Zooming around after a zooming dog. Yes, that too. Come here, baby.
It's Nikki time. I don't have my collar yet.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me get you.
Look at that little tail. Ooh, that is a zooming.
There we go.
It just zooms everywhere.
Yep.
Mhm.
Shakes everything.
That's how we would find Cassie when she would fall asleep, since dachshunds always like to dig under things.
Yeah, they like to burrow.
And so it's like, where is she hiding now in the house? So we simply just say her name. Hey, Cassie.
And
Cassie.
a blanket would wag.
You hear thump, thump, thump,
We called
thump,
her the
thump,
blanket monster
Aww.
because it would thump, thump, thump. That's, dachshund tails are rather notorious.
Found a squeaky toy.
Now it's time for the squeaky toy.
Mm.
So that is like one of the real benefits that I like to point out about pets. I have seen people do a dance with their bird every day after work.
Yes.
Like, it's kind of amazing that birds can learn certain amounts of TikTok dances. Like with wings and all.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out birds really like dancing. And they really like choreographed dancing. I don't know why, but I think it's fantastic. So I've seen people dancing with their bird. I've seen people dancing around their cats. I've seen people doing all sorts of things with their pets. And they love it. I mean, it is a wonderful way to help alleviate that stress that builds up in the body, because the 21st century is a hard, difficult road to hoe.
Yeah, there's not those demarcations of separation between different parts of our life like there used to be. It's all there, constant, together.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to make those little separations.
Mm-hmm.
And pets are a great way to remind us, hey, it's time for a new moment. Let's go do something else. And let's have fun while we do it.
Go
Why aren't
drag
you
me
having
around
fun?
the apartment with a toy.
Yes. Actually, that's kind of fun, though.
I have
He
brought
looks
you
like
the
a
toy.
worm. He's just like feet
Yeah.
splayed out behind him.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because they've really got these strong jaws and shoulders, so they can handle the pull.
Yeah.
It's lovely. Yes.
He's making me lose weight already.
Uh-huh.
Walking twice a day. Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, get that little doggy backpack, load it with pennies.
With what?
Load it with pennies, the little doggy backpack, to weigh them down.
Ah. We
You know
don't
what
have pennies in Canada anymore, so maybe I'll get
Nickels?
some
What do you? Loonies?
Yeah, loonies and toonies.
So that you can get a soda. No,
Yes.
that's what I used to like. I literally get a roll of loonies when I lived in Canada, and I used it literally for only one thing in this world, and that was to buy mug root beer.
Mm.
Like, an ice cold mug root beer. Oh, y'all, that is the taste of Canada for me. That, honestly, and anything from Timmy's. Fresh Tim Hortons.
May have gone there yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, a Tim Hortons fresh donut there's
Yeah.
nothing like a fresh Tim Hortons.
And a chocolate chill.
The closest thing to a fresh Tim Hortons is Dunkin' Donuts in Asia.
Oh.
Dunkin' is not as good in North America. I'm so sorry to everybody who's like, but Gloria, I'm here to fight you on this. I understand and I respect your choices, but I'm just saying, in Asia, they know how to clean their oil, so it is delicious. And that coffee filling that they use at Dunkin's in Asia, there is nothing like it. Hello, baby.
Really, you were living with a Muppet.
Yep.
I know.
It's fantastic.
He's so cute.
He's so cute, y'all. I know. When are we going to get another Roy timer?
Well, my parents left yesterday, so now I have I can take the camera out again and not be like, I vlog. So, yeah.
So you know how I was weird when I was growing up? I'm still weird, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
I don't know that your parents would be surprised though.
No. Like,
They know
one
you.
time, my siblings and my parents went to Hawaii without us kids. So we stayed at a friend's house, and that friend's parents had a video camera, like the old cash and camcorder. And so we filmed commercials and TV shows, and we dressed up the little kid as Godzilla and like had Duplos as buildings and stuff that Godzilla tramped through. Like, oh my gosh, it was so fun.
Baby kaiju.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It is.
You need to digitize that. I would like to watch that.
I don't know where it is. It's probably still at their house, but they moved to a different state.
It's in a box.
One day it will resurface. It will fall through a portal and it will show up.
And one of them will be me standing on the roof in bare feet trying to sell the ceramic reindeer.
These fine reindeer are only available
Exactly.
for a low price.
$19.99.
Get them while you can. Yes.
Going back to pets.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Just
Go on.
before I forget. I would say of another part that, as an adult, I really benefited from pets, specifically my cat, simply known as the Darkness.
Well, the Random Darkness.
Yeah.
That was her full name. Was the Random Darkness Fink.
It summed her up really well. And because it as an adult, it gave me a chance to actually work on my empathy, because I did not get this cat or understand what was going on and what this cat was trying to communicate with me for at least 6 months, if not a year. Like, it was definitely its own exercise in, all right, what are you doing? Why? And that's where, Glory has that famous moment she likes to talk about on occasion of she hears what sounds like is the cat being tortured in my room.
It sounded like you fell and then the cat yelled. I heard stuff crashing in your room, and then I heard the cat, and I was like, oh gosh, he's fallen and he fell on the cat. Let me go. And, because it was the middle of the night. I had literally gotten up to go, pee, and I heard this against a shared wall and was like, he's fallen and he fell on the cat. All right, let me quickly finish and flush and then go and see. And I opened the door, and it's the two of them. How would you describe that?
Well, I was actually laying down, and I had sort of pinned the cat against me on my chest.
And they looked at me with the exact same look on their face of, what? Like, neither was in distress. Neither was like what I would call negatively emotional. But they were both like, yes. And I'm like, oh, I've interrupted something. Okay, I shall close the door again. I think
as I was trying to communicate, it was the middle of the night, and there are appropriate things to do and not appropriate, including do not run on me with your claws out trying to get traction. And the cat was, totally disagreeing that this was a fine, perfectly normal thing to do at night, and I need to understand she needs certain liberties, whether I'm awake or not. So, yeah, there was some communications going on. It may have sounded like, awkward torture.
It sounded like you two were actually verbally arguing.
Okay, yeah, we kind of were.
Low voice, and then the cat would, like, it was an equal argument, y'all. But I was like, yeah, all right, well, he hasn't fallen. It's fine.
Yeah, the cat did not do, though, a free me, save me.
No. When I opened the door, she wasn't like, help me, he hurt me. No, it was a, yes, human. She really looked at me like, what? Yeah, why have you interrupted us? Like, oh. These two obviously they are communicating fine, and sorry to interrupt. I just need to make sure you weren't like falling in the middle of your room.
Yeah.
But it turns out cats like to play that way. They actually will pin each other to the ground or pin each other somewhere. And this is part of their play fighting, that they're not really fighting, they're just playing with each other. It turns out that is actually how cats play. They like to pin each other, because if you can pin one cat, essentially they act like they've won a point or something. Grayson says, I argue with Norden daily. He likes to pout if I don't hold him at least 3 times a day. If I don't, he gets in my face and screams. Yeah, they do scream, don't they? They don't scream like when they're really being hurt. No. They scream.
They don't scream when they break their tail.
They scream when they're offended. But they don't scream, when they're genuinely injured. They're real quiet. They're just trying to slink off somewhere. But when they're offended, they're like in your face, like, excuse me, where is my playtime? Where is my being held time? Your hands don't look busy. Right? That's a cat.
I mean, have you seen, what's Chandra's big orange tabby called?
Dobby.
Have you seen Dobby if Chandra has not given enough attention in the last couple hours?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a big cat, and it has a lot of
opinions.
Gravitas.
Is that what you call junk in the trunk?
Yes.
Is that what I have? Gravitas?
I mean, that cat knows how to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
If I ignore him long enough, the screams end up sounding like a baby crying. He knows, yes. They know. Cats know we can't ignore the baby cry.
I know. Oh, I hate when they do that.
There's this cat outside sometimes. I don't know why, but sometimes it cries like a baby, and Tom's like, is that a baby? I'm like, no, it's just a damn cat. Ignore it. They know what they're doing. But we both want to go out there. I'm like, nobody's abandoning a baby in this neighborhood. Nobody even has a baby that young in this neighborhood. All the kids are like elementary school age. I'm like, nobody's abandoning a child. It's a cat. But darn, do I have to like turn the TV up loud because like everything in my body is like, no, there's a baby. We must go. Cats are manipulative. And they have scientifically proven that cats know they do not make that sound to other cats. They only make the baby cry sound to other humans to manipulate us, to get our attention. And they will do that.
Evolution.
They understand how to get what they want out of us.
I mean, it's one survival mechanism.
I feel like cats while cats claim to not be domesticated, they have essentially domesticated themselves for a similar purpose that dogs did, of like, the food is regular. The pettings are frequent.
Well, and say, what's that word for, like, when something evolves together, like co-evolving or,
symbiotic or something?
Yeah.
It depends on which kind you're talking about.
Because cats have definitely taken on adaptations that help them survive better around humans. That, they don't have out in the wild.
True.
Yeah, like meowing is purely for humans.
Mm-hmm. Because cats chirp at each other. And birds. Andy.
Oh, cat death threats.
Andy used to chirp at mockingbirds, and mockingbirds are aggressive. And mockingbirds would dive bomb the window by my bed. Because when Andy couldn't get me to get up and go, like, put her food out, because, you're an hour late, you're so late. So she would sit on my windowsill by my bed and chirp at mockingbirds, apparently at a mocking tone. And the birds would then literally dive onto the glass and then fall down. And then I would hear my cat laugh. She would snigger. Like the diabolical predator she is. And it would get me in such a bad mood because, like, how can you sleep when you hear a bird screeching and then boom, right into the window next to my head? And then I would hear a thump as it would hit the concrete on the driveway next to the bedroom. And then it would do it again. She would keep doing this, like repeatedly, till I would find, fine, Auntie, I'm getting up. What is it, food or your litter? And she would then meow because she had 4 different meows. So I knew what she wanted. You like my... She has also passed away. And I loved her, but I don't miss this behavior.
Yeah, like I didn't know cats could snicker till Andy.
I would hear this cat version of, but it was like you could hear like their small around. That was the sound she would make. That's a snigger. That's a feline snigger, y'all. She was laughing at that mockingbird for thinking it could get to her. Because mockingbirds around here really will dive bomb cats in real life. Like, you can always tell when some cat has messed with a mockingbird nest. Because that cat will be walking down the street and the mockingbird is just literally like dive bombing and then attacking the cat. And they keep doing that.
Oh, and they will tell their family which cat it is that offended them. And the family will do it even after that bird dies.
Right.
Wow.
Mockingbirds are not like other birds.
Although it turns out mockingbirds do not have a concept for that cat worries me. So that's how my cat
became,
would deal with mockingbirds and anything else that would, be too loud outside. Is she would go outside and she'd just stand under the tree and just stare at the bird. I'm guessing in a very uncomfortable way for the bird.
Yeah, apparently mockingbirds don't like to be stared at.
But didn't do anything like towards them. And so the mockingbird apparently just didn't have a way to communicate this to the other birds. And they're just like, obviously, we just don't go in this yard now. But yeah, I didn't realize, like, there is one way to handle them. But she would just worry them. She'd just go in there, just stare at them. And I guess stare at them like, you look delicious with some butter.
Maybe a side of cream.
Yes, something.
Yeah.
Grayson says, I didn't know they could pout until Norton, Dean, and Voodoo. They'd pout at me and I'd fold, giving them all the treats.
I know. I didn't know that till I was grown up either about cats pouting.
Oh, you know what a cat is disappointed in you. They're like, no, I don't want any pettings. No, I am not interested. No,
and they're so offended and hurt at you.
They'll move away like, don't pet me. No. Pettings are only when you're good, human. Yeah. Like, oh, I didn't know it was a privilege to pet you. I thought you liked the scratches, especially right in front of the tail.
Uh-huh.
No. I let you do that because you've been good, human. Yes.
Again, they do actually help you better understand, interpersonal communication.
Right? Because, like, cats will literally give you the cold shoulder. Like, no, don't touch me there. You do not deserve this.
Or they'll literally walk sideways just out of your range.
Right? Like, nope, don't touch me. Nope, not interested. It's very illustrative. So, shall we take another 10-minute break? There's all sorts of options, y'all. A little walkie, snacks, writing. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
I'm saying Laura's case, possibly tug of war.
I mean, yeah. Or at least belly rubs.
Yes.
The most lovely of belly rubs. Oh, so much fluff. Wish we lived in the same town. I would be like, I need to like pet Roy real quick. Bye.
Oh, really? I figured you would pull the move of, Laura, I know you need to work. Are you sure you don't need a dog sitter?
I could take Roy to the dog park. And yes. Because I like watching dogs play.
Uh-huh. My gosh, every time we meet a dog on the street, circles around me until he's tied up and can't move anymore, and then he goes the other way. It's like, dude.
Okay, so Grayson.
can't tell if this is as a cat, as a dog, or what Grayson is actually about to go do.
Oh, Grayson's about to go be witchy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I'm throwing that out there. I'm like, this
You do
seems
have
like,
better guesses at this.
you know, cackling in the rain is something witches do, and I know that because I've done that a lot.
I'd say because you are one.
I do what I need to do my work, okay? I have life's work. All right, y'all. So I have chosen this time for the chicken timer. And we will see y'all back here in about 10 minutes.
Beepity beep, beepity beep.
Oops. Time? What's that? I don't know how that works.
He's not happy. He wants to keep playing.
Oh. I mean, you could just leave the screen on and go play with if they want you. Always.
That is true. Don't bite.
Listen to that offense.
So offended.
Why did you stop playing?
I'm cruel and unusual.
I lost track of time because I was just looking at Grayson's comment about the storm, and I was like, yeah, what does it look like over there? Let me look at the map.
Ah.
So I was looking at the radar. Y'all know I love weather. Carrie's here. Hello, Carrie.
Y'all have no idea how much Gloria would watch and sleep to the Weather Channel in the 90s.
The old Weather Channel, not the new one. That's like hardly any weather. It's just like, when storms attack. Okay, whatever, y'all. Whatever. Oh, sweet baby. Like an old man. I love it. Let me try this one. There. Now we can talk and we can just enjoy Roy.
Yeah, paw.
Oh, look at those paws.
Yeah.
He looks like he's going to get a little bigger. Or is he just built for digging?
He loves to dig, especially on the couch. Gotta make it comfy. Or dig through my legs in bed.
I would say that's one of the nice things about micro suede.
Yeah.
Is it's for those dogs who like to dig. It doesn't tear up as easy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a free couch, so it's nice.
It's even better than micro suede.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Very nice.
But yeah, we figured as we wrapped up, we would just talk about a lot of the different kinds of pets. That, pets are great, but they do need to match you.
You're not going on the table.
Oh. Poor baby.
Hey,
How dare you?
I think we're gonna go.
Who's in?
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. During the break, I went over to Tom's room and I was like, what are we going to talk about? So Tom's written it out.
And that is, what are the different kinds of pets? What are some good aspects of them to keep in mind? Because just as, if you've met one neurodivergent person, you've met one. Everyone's got their own. There's so many pets out there now that you can get access to that you never know how much they can fit you and your lifestyle of cats and dogs are very high interaction. They always need someone there to be interacting with versus, bunnies, rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters are a lot more intermittent. They, need a lot more just downtime and chill. And so, they're great if you want something to pet, but you're going to be, there not a lot. And, as we were talking earlier, there's ball pythons and other lizards that people love. I mean, I think Gloria and I have brought up a couple times about meeting that blue-tongued skink. They brought, that was a really cool pet.
I didn't know that skinks could smile. If I had known that that skinks can smile, I probably would have gotten one a long time ago. Because to me, herps. They're just there. I didn't know that they could be so interactive and expressive.
And the nice part about lizards and snakes is that, in part with their because they're cold-blooded, their interactive needs are highly variable. So when they're on their own, they're not that active. But when you get but when you're holding them and interacting, they will speed up
Mm-hmm.
and they get a lot more interactive. And so they're actually, for a lot of people, can be very good pets to have. And I said, like that blue-tongued skink, when you're holding it and it stays warm, it's very much a, oh, hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here. I like your attention, please. Have you considered petting me? It's amazing how many animals actually do like being petted by humans.
Oh, it's something that Tom and I talk about a lot. Of that, like, humans are such good petters. Like, as a species, how have we evolved with such good instincts for how to pet, what to pet on any creature, and that almost every single creature on the planet is pettable.
I was actually watching a video recently that was explaining about, part of like, why are we good at petting versus you don't actually see a lot of other animals that are good at petting. And it's that,
although golden retrievers do try to teach each other how to pet.
yes, they do.
So
It actually has to do with that muscle strength.
I mean,
People, anyone who studies primates will eventually come across and find out that every other primate is pound for pound stronger than humans.
Yeah.
Humans are actually very weak.
Yeah, we are. It's been surprising.
But that trade-off is that we have this fine motor control.
Mm-hmm.
We can do these very dexterous little actions, and it doesn't tire us. It is not difficult for us. We can do it repetitively a lot.
This is not easy for even bonobos, chimpanzees.
Yeah.
This is actually, like, they have to learn this, and even as they're middle age, they still, most of them, struggle to do this. Like with
rolling wrist is not easy.
Well, both the twisted finger and rolling wrist at the same time is nearly impossible for a lot of chimpanzees / bonobos.
Because they've been optimized for strength.
Right.
Because that way they can, tear things apart. They can lift themselves into trees. What they really need is strength versus what we do, because we really, specialized in tool making, is we needed dexterous ability. We need very fine motor skill. Those do sound like really cool pets.
I'm literally looking up the red-eyed crocodile skinks right now. Oh, they're so cool.
I mean, I kind of want one of those tiny little dragons.
Oh, you mean the ones from Indonesia or Malaysia or something?
Yeah. Like, that is one of you would be like, okay, I couldn't turn it. Oh, wow.
Look at this sweet baby.
Okay, that is actually surprisingly cute.
That's beautiful. And they look so adorable.
Yeah, I was like, that is a very cute
There's a handful of them. Baby dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all majestic.
But yeah, if you don't have, if you can't interact with them as much, for whatever reason, including just, if you have energy problems, if you have fatigue, there's a lot more pets now than just cats and dogs. And then of course there's birds. If you've ever met a bird person, they're a particular type of person for birds. But again, but birds more than others, you really do need to have multiple ones just like them.
Yeah, you need multiple birds that are at least in the same species family.
So like finches, you can get different finches of different species, but you still need multiple finches. Yes. Or cockatiels. But because they do need multiple ones, because they are very, very pack oriented, and they need a little group.
For the most part, the larger the bird, the longer they live. And so, if we're talking about a gray African parrot,
or a macaw,
you're looking at needing to make a family legacy commitment, since they're going to live so long. They could very well, or possibly truly, outlive you. And tragic things happen if you're not able to make arrangements for them. And again, they need multiple birds of their species group to not feel lonely, because birds in particular really do feel the effects of, they're very much pack animal, what we would call a pack animal. and they feel the loss of their own similar species. They feel that as a stressor. So that is the one thing I'd say about birds. As much as, I mean, birds are beautiful. I love bird feathers. I love looking at birds. But you need multiple birds. Unlike like with a cat, you don't have to get 2 cats. You could get a cat and a dog, and often they will still pack bond together.
Hey, a cat and a bunny or a guinea
Yeah,
pig.
a cat and a bunny, or like a cat and a hamster like mine. They'll pack bond. But with birds, they don't bond as well outside of their, particular family tree group of birds. And so it's a real stressor for them. Grayson said there's a guy I watch here on YouTube, Reptilitus. He has wonderful videos of his lizards. He has beautiful red-eyed crocodile skinks. That is so cool. It's so cool. Thank you for letting us know, so we can obviously look that up and enjoy that in our time.
Definitely later. And also, like, one thing we're reminded of is like goats.
Yes. Birds are kind of like goats in that you need at least 2 goats so that they stay goaty. Otherwise, they get way too emotionally dependent on one human, and it becomes a social, emotional problem with the goat. And sometimes that's how goats get abandoned. It can be problematic because goats can be quite destructive when they're anxious. But when a goat has another goat to keep them company, they don't get anxious, so they don't get as destructive. I wish, I know Maggie's got a lot going on, and I don't know the current state of her laptop, but I feel like I'm definitely out of my depth talking about goats in comparison to everything Maggie knows. But this much I do know about goats. They need another goat. Otherwise, goats can get kind of destructive as well, as they are escape artists. But if you have 2 goats, then they can actually be quite fun as pets. Also, they can possibly provide milk. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'll say, and there's nothing wrong with having something both as a pet and as a producer.
Livestock?
I'm not sure what you. Yeah. Well, a farm animal.
Right.
Like, I know plenty of people, especially here in Mississippi, that their chickens are their pets.
Oh, yeah. And they'll do tricks with their chickens. Like, I don't mean the chicken does a trick on their own, although I have seen that, and that's cool. But, like, it's a human chicken trick.
Yeah.
Like, you need a human and you need a chicken to do a bunch of these weird acrobatics.
Like from a circus.
Yeah, they would do, like, acrobatics with their pet chickens, and, like, it is cool. There's a lot of trust going on both of their parts. But it's awesome. And chickens do get emotionally attached to humans, which I know, like, we talk about how, chickens are little raptors. They're little dinosaurs.
And they are.
And they are. But they can get attached to their pet human. Just like cats do. Just like so many animals. So again, overall, chickens, because they are like a lot of other birds, they really do need more than one other chicken around for them to feel happy when there's no human around. It's just how they are.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, essentially having farming your animals as, who are also your pets.
Yeah. I've known plenty of people that have house chickens and they eat their eggs wherever they've laid those eggs all over the house.
Yeah, it's often the chickens like playing a game.
Find my egg. Huh? Find it.
And no, they really will, like, just follow behind of, like, oh, is it over here?
Yeah, and you'll get a proximity cluck if you're getting close versus you're too far. Like, they will essentially tell you hotter or colder to help you find their eggs, which it's a game. Hey, whatever works, right? Because, I mean, even chickens can pack bond with humans, which I think is awesome. But it's something to keep in mind of, like, pets matching the temperament of their humans.
Chickens do not need to.
Go on.
I say chickens don't need to see you constantly throughout the day. They are happy with seeing you for 20 minutes twice a day. They have no problem with that. And so if that's, what you want, then great.
But they do get sad if they don't see you at least once a day.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever heard a sad chicken clucking?
Yeah,
it'll tear your heart out.
It's sad. Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, that poor chicken. And they'll say, oh, yeah, if their owner doesn't come back soon, that chicken's going to die of sadness. Y'all, chickens really can die of sadness. They get attached.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something to think about. Like if you travel a lot, what kind of animal or pet can you accommodate?
I mean, horses.
Horses.
Horses are really for those who want. If you're dealing with anxiety, that's often where you see people who really enjoy being around horses, because horses are very calm most of the time.
Yes.
And again, as long as they're around another horse, they don't need to see you that often, but they're always happy to see you.
Mm-hmm. Except that one. But anyway.
There's always that one.
There was a horse that tried to once nip Tom behind his back. And she learned real quick that I'm Tom's sister. And then she gave Tom plenty of room after that. Because to horses, we look bigger than horses. It's a quirk of their eyesight that humans actually look like giants compared to horses.
If you've ever seen a fisheye lens camera, and you see how a person looks as they get closer and further away, and you see, like, if you push your hand closer to a fisheye, all of a sudden the hand gets huge. That's what their vision's like. Yeah, horses think we're bigger than them.
Mm-hmm. And that's why when we do sudden movements, they're startled. Because it's like if a giant did a sudden movement, they'd be like, oh, well, be careful there. Watch where that hand's going. So I taught that horse the quick lesson. Don't nip at my brother. She remembered it. And then everything was fine. But yeah, they're just big old dogs, y'all. They're just enormous dogs. So, I have found that horses are really helpful for people who, in the past we might have said high-strung. People who are high-strung. People with a lot of anxiety that they're coping with. Horses can be quite useful to have around because that calming energy many horses give off is very helpful for humans, as well as it's a lot of body to pet. And they love being petted. But it's a lot of body, and they want full coverage with the pet.
Although, truth be told, it's not that horses are actually that calm. It's that humans and horses express very differently. If you want to know what a horse is actually thinking about, just look at its ears. Its ears are always pointed at whatever it's thinking about. But its eyes are just,
Yes, I agree. Goats are awesome.
And they can be very affectionate.
They can be. And Tom knows because he is like catnip to Nubian goats. I have pictures. We went to one of the state fairs here in Mississippi, and they had various goat pens, and you could like pet and go hang out or whatever. I don't know. And all the other goats were just like, whatever. And then the Nubian goats, which are kind of tall, actually, got a sniff on Tom, and they were like, bring him to us. And from then on, I've made jokes about Nubians and Tom. I'm like, you are hot stuffed Nubians, babe. I mean, but I do have pictures of like all these Nubian goats. Yeah, just like, we have got to get a hold of this. And they are just like sniffing him, and they're up in his hair. It is delightful. I guess he just smelled right.
I almost forgot about. There's pets for everyone in every kind of way. And YouTube recently recommended randomly this video to me that I keep meaning to share to you. I can't remember if I did or not.
You haven't shared it.
That I was just surprised about, but
you've only told me about it repeatedly.
So, some people have pet isopods, as in roly-polies. And there's a lot of different kinds. And they also like them because they will clean up reptile and amphibian, not aquarium, wherever it is they live in.
Don't they live
Terrarium.
in? Yeah, okay, terrarium, sure.
But people also just like, you don't all grow up, and some of us still like, just playing with them. I mean, they're cute.
Roly-polies, y'all. It's roly-polies.
It's a 30-minute video of these two guys just geeking out about roly-polies and all their different species, including apparently the one that everyone starts with because it was expensive for a short while, but they breed really well. And so now just everyone has them. So they're actually relatively low cost, but also they're very low maintenance. Are zebra roly-polies that just have little black and white stripes. As well as of there's a pet for everyone. I've also seen people who like, rhinoceros beetles. And just they have pet rhinoceros beetles and let's see how much it can shove. I like just putting different levels of blocks and weights in front of it. I mean, so yes, you could even have insects as pets. Because part of it is humans need to nurture. And we learn things through our own nurturing. And that is part of what's been so rough the past year and a half, when you don't get to see your friends, is you can't then nurture your friends. You can't be there to support and help them. And while you can talk with them, it's not the same as being physically there and interacting with them. But pets you can keep with you. On the other hand, ferrets will always smell, even if those glands are removed. They'll listen to anyone who tells you different. They obviously have a very low sense of smell. Ferrets will always have a smell.
Yes.
And all what are they called? Muscelids?
Yeah, well, it might be muscelids actually, now that you say it. Pet velociraptors? Oh, are you in the market?
I've heard from several people, just say no to any of them. Emus, ostriches, any of that group. Chicken size or smaller. Just don't get them bigger. They start seeing you as food. I mean, they're still velociraptors at the end of the day. Okay, yeah, not ones that big. People like raising tiny little ones. Why don't you just look up pet isopod? They get scary at that size.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Okay. Better?
Bit better, yeah.
I don't know. This thing still looks huge to me. Oh, I think these are the zebra ones?
No, you scroll back up. There. Over one.
Oh, this one. I am an old-fashioned gal, and I'm more like, remember those tiny roly-polies in my childhood? That's what I'm here for. The roly-polies of my childhood were cuter, too. There, I said it. So controversial, yet so brave. Yeah,
okay.
What they look like. The ones in my childhood.
Yeah. The pet ones are not that big. They've zoomed in really close.
if you say so. I mean, so you want to give the rest of your little speech about isopods? How, like, what is it? They're land crustaceans or something like that? And
Okay, they are weird. Yeah, they are crustaceans. They have to stay a little wet because they never actually adapted to live on land. They're not insects, so they actually need the water on their gills to help them absorb oxygen and breathe.
blows my mind. Where does roly-poly come from, Tom? Okay.
Because they roll up.
They roll up. And also you can roll them into a little ball. But yeah, if you do this, they'll like,
Just like a little armadillo.
Yeah, they will, like an armadillo. And they will roll into a kind of a ball. And that's why we call, when I was a kid, they were called roly-polies. Because they would roll, and I guess you rhyme. I don't know. It's the name I was taught as a kid. And like, at least if you live in the South, you know what a roly-poly is, because everybody calls them roly-polies. But you could find them under most rocks. We would, like, at recess in daycare, we go out and we go, like, lift up rocks looking for today's roly-polies to play with. And we would just play with them, let them walk all over, because they will not bite. There's no...
Yeah, they have no ability to bite you.
No ability to hurt at all, not even to scratch with their legs or anything. And so, like, toddlers were allowed to play with roly-polies. And they, like, walk around, and then if you, like, pick one up, you could, like, pet it, and then if you pet hard, it'll roll into a ball. Like, not like hard, but you know what I'm saying, like a little bit harder. And they'll roll into a ball, and then you've got like a whole little handful of like little balls, and then if you give them a minute, they'll unroll, and then they'll go back to like exploring because your hand's warm. Roly-polies.
So, some people just still like them from childhood, and they grow them, and they, have them as, pets.
Do you remember, okay, so I grew up with sea monkeys, but then after sea monkeys, there was, what is it, those pteropods or something? What were they called? You remember we, our little sister got them, Mom and our little sister got them at one point, and they kind of look like horseshoe crabs a little bit, but, they came freeze-dried. Right? And you put them in the water, and then they kind of got bigger. Like, Mom kept them alive for a while, and they were cool looking, but they were definitely from another Zoic era.
Yeah, they did. They looked a lot like horseshoe crabs. I can't remember quite.
Yeah, you remember those? Yeah, those were also fun because they don't even require water filtration really much.
Well, as long as you give them purified water, or you've neutralized the bleach in water.
Yeah, we just use bottled water. So, like, it said just use, like, bottled water.
Oh, yes, and of course, then come the fish, the betas.
Yeah. I mean, they are beautiful. Grace said, when I was but a wee lad, the guys in class would slingshot. Oh, that's not cool. Slingshot roly-polies at the girls. Never understood why that was a thing, and it would freak the teachers out. Yeah. Ugh. That did not happen in my area. Thankfully, that never occurred to anybody. Also, slingshots were not allowed at my school. Maybe because of that. I don't know.
And now none of us can have one.
There's always somebody to ruin the fun now. We just played other games. Yeah, I too would have gotten into trouble if somebody threw bugs at me. I once threw a kid into the bushes for popping my bra strap. Whole child. He was taller than me.
He deserved it.
He really had it coming. Everybody was way too nice to him because his family was like the richest family in this area at the time. But my family did not benefit from his family, so my parents had wanted me to actually be more brutal than I actually was to him. But that is not about pets. So anyway, but honestly, if your life merely, consisted of a terrarium with roly-polies in it, small ones, not giant ones, because, yeah, that's a bit much. I mean, when I was thinking giant, I was thinking of, like, something this big, not, like, something the size of a
Those
baby.
ones are deep sea. Those are not anything you can raise.
I don't even know. I was like, how are they even breathing? Anyway.
Yeah, it's like roly-polies, the isopods you can do are like, an inch at most.
Yeah. But, there's nothing wrong with making even a terrarium to go look at pretty things in the terrarium, especially if you can put food in there where, you only need to feed them once a week or something if you're traveling a lot. And that's still perfectly reasonable. And you can still name them. When I was but a wee girl, so long ago that it was the 80s, we lived in Pascagoula. Pascagoula was kind of famous for being the town where everybody said, if it's brown, drink it down, and if it's black, send it back. And they're talking about the drinking water, y'all. Because of all the toxic waste. Anyway, so we lived in a trailer for a little while. This was right before Tom was born. We lived in a trailer that had a lot of the big palmetto roaches. And I found them incredibly frightening as a toddler. Because they would climb on the ceiling and then fall on me. And I do not like things falling on my head. I have a thing about it. Don't do it. I don't like water on my head. I don't like, like water that I'm not expecting. I don't like surprise water. I don't like surprise anything on my head, quite frankly. And I was frankly having meltdowns because of this as a toddler. So, and this is a true story. So my father did not have any other white paint. So he used liquid whiteout, and he painted numbers and symbols on various palmetto roaches. And then he and I named them. He had me name them. That one's Stumpy, and that is Doc, and that is Drowsy, and that is Slowpoke. And we named them, and whenever they'd walk by, Dad's like, "Oh, look, there's Slowpoke, wave at Slowpoke." And I'm like, it did actually help, though. I'm going to say that. It did help. Thankfully, a month later, we moved. We did not stay that long. But, there's something to be said for making pets of anything, because as humans, it does help us feel that we are among friends rather than among strangers, the bad kind, the ones that we're not safe around. So having something to look forward to every day when you get home, even if it is a terrarium of roly-polies, even if they are wild-caught roly-polies, from your backyard, there is something to be said. Even if you just put a little bit of non-toxic paint on each one, a little different color, so you're like, oh, there's Pinky, and there's Greenie, and there's Mr. Yellow. There is something to be said for how helpful it is for us as human beings to have other living creatures to look forward to seeing and that we care for. It brings out the best in us. So it can be incredibly therapeutic, and also, quite frankly, it can be entertaining. And just remember, another benefit is always you could post pictures on Instagram. Everybody else wants to see your roly-poly pets. I'll look at it. I'll be like, oh, what is Pinky doing lately? Pinky's on the left side of the terrarium. Fantastic. That's lovely. Oh, but Mr. Yellow likes to hang out by the pool. Makes sense. Congrats to Mr. Yellow. Are you going to get him a tiny little, margarita glass? Because that's what I would do. There's nothing wrong with having a rich inner life.
Or, green and blue are on the outs. They're now staying away from each other.
Drama. These things are fun and make us not feel alone. And especially in this great panini, because who knows how long it will last. Nevertheless, it is helpful for you to have someone to look forward to, even again, if we are talking about a skink or a cat or two cats or what have you. It is incredibly useful. and makes us not feel alone and makes us feel like our life is worth more than just the value it has for ourselves. Do not underestimate the value of being valuable to others. Like, we're kind of programmed as humans to value the value others place on us. And if you are not there to feed your skink or your roly-polies or your cat, who then? Who will do it? Especially what with none of them having thumbs. I really feel like sometimes this is the reason cats keep us around. Somebody's got to open up that can. Yes, all coping methods are good coping methods, particularly if it's not lethal to your cat. Who could feed them as well as you? I know that blue-tongued skink really did. She could tell. It was this father and son, a duo, who were traveling through to perform at various libraries around the country during summer reading, and we had a spare room at the time, so I invited them to come stay with us overnight. And they were cool, and also because I didn't get to see their animals during their performance because I had to work at the library, and I thought if they come home to my house, I could get a free show. And the answer is yes, I did. That is a great way to get a free show. So I got to actually pet all the animals, including the tortoise that they had. They had a pet tortoise, and it got to roam the whole house and our backyard. And the skink, I got to play with the skink, and the skink could really tell the difference between the father and the son, because she liked to do different things with the father. She liked to be held and petted, but with the son, she liked to sit up on his shoulder as he walked around. She liked to look and see everything. So the son, every day, he would put her on his shoulder and then show her the room. Like if they were camping or the hotel room or wherever they were, he would show her the whole room, and she really would pay attention to every corner. It was very cool. So you can actually form real emotional connections and attachments with pets, and that feels something. That feels valuable. It is valuable. Hi to Mama. There's definitely a worry of mine about my cat. What if there's some accident and I don't outlive her, etc.? This is a good point. Yes, hi, by the way. Yes, hi. Before Cassie and the Random Darkness passed away, they were in my will, and I had made arrangements with a friend, 2 different friends, to take the cat versus the dog. And I was very careful about it, and I talked to them, to various friends beforehand, of I want to put you in my will to take care of Cassie at the Random Darkness, just in case, God forbid. But just in case, and I took it very seriously. So it may be something to talk about with your friends or family. Somebody maybe who already has a cat or who has always wanted a cat. Or even to talk to a local rescue about how to essentially, talk to essentially about eventualities.
I mean, you have godparents for your kids. Why not also, god petters for your pets?
God owners? God, that sounds different. But what about
God caretakers?
Sure. Again, that sounds odd. It's like something out of Miracle Workers. But yeah, so that was what I did. Actually, most of my will was simply, I was leaving everything to Tom except for the dog. I just felt that Cassie would be too much trouble for him to deal with if he became immediately depressed after my death. That was just too much stress to put on Tom. So I left Cassie with, in my will. Obviously that's not what ended up happening because I'm still here and Cassie's passed. But a friend of mine who had a dog who their dog already knew Cassie, and they both got along well. And so they agreed that I could leave Cassie to them in my will. And they would take care of Cassie, but, give Tom essentially visiting rights. Oh yeah. Like as if it's a child. I literally took care of all of that. And There was a program associated with my work, a software that I could use to help me write my will that was acceptable by my local state laws. So,
yeah, there's another use for your library is to check. You'd be surprised how many libraries actually do have these kind of services. Where if you need to draw up a legal form, they pay a monthly or yearly subscription for all their patrons.
it is something to ask your local library system if they offer any service like that. Just in case they're already paying for it, at least you could use it to help you draw up legal documents. Not every library system has access to that, but many do. So it's something to think about. Or also, if your job offers you life insurance, like free automatic life insurance of some amount, several of the services that do this underwriting come with this free software legal document draw up, where it's essentially it draws up a basic legal document. You still need to ideally have it looked over by a lawyer, but essentially it helps you go through most of the paperwork first.
Yeah.
So it is something to look into for your pet. As Eva says, I struggle with the same worries with the newer human. Hadn't thought about the cat. You are going to want to, obviously, but I actually had multiple, like for Cassie, I had the primary person I wanted to be able to take her, but I had a secondary just in case, for whatever reason, the primary person or family actually couldn't take her in because things happen. I had a secondary and a tertiary person just in case. And all three of these groups had agreed that Tom could have visitation rights and that they understood they're not the first in the line or they're not second. It's they're, where they are on this.
Yeah.
And why. And so I did that so that she would be taken care of. I would recommend for anybody with any pet, including if you do get roly-polies or skigs, it would be ideal if you can figure out within your first year of pet ownership who could, in a terrible idea, something might happen to you, but nevertheless a possibility, who could take care of this pet in a way that they would be comfortable taking care of. Eva says he's from a rescue, so he'd go there probably, the cat. He's chipped to them. And again, you never know. It's just good to know. So, for instance,
and really, often people don't realize or recognize that this is actually a low-level, deep concern, and that you will feel often a surprising amount of relief and a bit of relaxation after you get those arrangements made. It's a truly it's just in case. It's not this is going to happen.
Like you're like, yes, this will happen to me. It's one of these of. So that's one less thing in your life that is uncertain.
Including should I be hospitalized? If you are, if you live alone, who will, be taken care of? So you never worry about that of what happens?
It's something that we talked about with our stepfather back when he still had several dogs. Our stepfather at a certain point had a minor medical crisis that he ended up in the hospital for several days. So, of course, we were also taking care of the dogs. There was a backyard. I mean, they were fine. The dogs were fine. And they were used to us. No big deal, right? But one of the things Tom and I ended up talking about is what if this minor medical crisis was, in fact, a major medical crisis, and God forbid something happened to our stepfather. The house would go into probate. In our state, animals are considered property, so technically animals can also be held in probate. I know horses that have been held in probate, and that is not a great situation for any living creature. And I was like, what's going to happen? Especially at the time, I knew that the local court systems had a several-month backlog. It was an unusual situation that was going on at the time. This was a couple years ago. And I was like, what we would end up having to do is throw food over the fence to the dogs every day or every other day and watering them through a hole in the fence until something could be done. Because even if we just kidnap the dogs for a couple months, we have no backyard to keep the dogs because these are bigger dogs at the time. And once our stepfather got out of the hospital and had recovered a few months later, we did talk to him about, hey, so weird question. Maybe we could have a key to the house, because we realized if you passed away suddenly, like the reason you're in the hospital, but it turned out to be terrible and you didn't leave the hospital in any way that you came in, that sort of situation, we would have no way to go get the dogs or feed them or take care of or whatever. And we would end up having to throw food to them in the backyard and water them through the hole in the fence for possibly months before they got a court date. And we could at least figure out some plans for the dogs. And he hadn't thought of that either. So again, I just want to point out, not to scare anybody. I hope this does not cause you anxiety, because I want to point out, I'll be happy to help anyone and everyone who needs any assistance. I, as a librarian, am happy to help you find rescue groups that you can essentially make contact with, of hey, so can I list you in my will as you already know us, and I've made a a financial thing that you'll take the dogs or you'll take the animals or whatever. I'll be happy to help you. This is not something meant to stress anyone. This is something meant to actually relieve stress in the back of your head about something you haven't thought about yet, but it's kind of in the back of your head, but what will happen to my babies?
Because I've done some computer repair work for a guy who he and his wife had for more than a decade. They just had recently stopped just because they've gotten older. Did Great Dane rescue, where they would take care of, but also, there is a network of them across the South, because they know how to, and they enjoy taking care of these kinds of animals. Not everyone's equipped to take care of a large, extra large dog.
Right.
That is its own set of, needs compared to a medium-sized dog or a small-sized dog.
Yes.
So there's rescue groups for everything. I mean, there's rescue groups for every kind of lizard and snake out there, and birds.
Groups for different kinds of birds.
Mm-hmm.
Who really are trying their best to take care of birds where the family of the deceased is not prepared to take care of them. And so they as a group get together and they try their best to essentially sort of foster and find homes, but if not possible, they just keep the bird. There are groups for everything. I promise you there's a group for isopod rescue. I promise you.
Or
people will take your bugs. Okay, people will take your skinks.
Yeah.
They'll be happy to take them in. So I'm happy to help. We're both happy to help you find resources. So again, you're not stressed, because these animals are bringing you joy and comfort, and you will feel better knowing that no matter, God forbid, if something happens to you, even if you just have a hospitalization, there's somebody who will help you take care of your pet until you can come back and take care of them. I mean, it's something to think about, so that it's one less thing to worry you later. Because some of these rescue groups are actually used to, they have arrangements you can make. Let's say you caught the Great Panini and you, God forbid, end up recovering for weeks or months and cannot care for a pet. They will take your pet in for the many weeks or however you need them to, till you can properly take care of your pet again, till you get out of the rehabilitation hospital or whatever.
I mean, because really, if you're on oxygen, you don't have energy.
Yeah.
Everything is a struggle to do.
So I know people who take in pythons for people while they're sick. At least here in the South, there's a really lovely social network of various kinds of people who have various types of pets. And there's a lot of really good people, good-hearted people in this world. So it's something to think about. It's not just finding a pet that matches your temperament and the amount of attention you can give it. Their needs match what you can give. But also eventualities in case you get sick or, God forbid, you do pass away, that your pet will still be taken care of in a loving environment. So And if anybody needs any assistance anytime, let us know. We will be happy to help you find resources. Because it is still worth it to get the pet.
Yes. And obviously, you're not the only one who likes them as a pet.
Right?
Which is why you've heard about them. So let's, so just get in contact with those people.
Exactly. Also, look, and I'm just throwing this out here. If you did want to volunteer, these kind of organizations are definitely happy to receive your volunteer hours or any other kind of assistance or promotion. So it's something positive to put out in the world. So yeah, that was something we wanted to mention as well, is essentially the pet life cycle. Was there anything more, Tom?
None that I can think of.
Yeah, we talked about matching pet temperaments and when your pet future outlives your own. And also, a lot of people don't realize these organizations exist. And I just think I have yet to meet any bad organization, because these are all people who love that kind of animal.
Yeah.
By the way, and this is a true story, there are actually people and groups that will happily take your pet rock if you bequeath it to them. They have pet rock gardens. And yeah, like I know there's one group in Texas because I ran into them in Austin. And I was like, actually, that's kind of cool. And people will bequeath various sized pet rocks. So yeah, pet boulders is a thing in Texas because everything's bigger in Texas. It's still cool. Tom, why are you smiling like that? It's a real thing.
Just look, I'm just picturing the bulldozer it takes to move that pet boulder.
I saw one. They loaded it on a flatbed.
Whew. I mean, that's the devotion to having a pet.
They also, though, this person in their will, they not only bequeathed the boulder, but they also set aside money for a plaque. So everybody would know what the pet boulder was named and the history of the boulder for real. I thought it was actually kind of cool. And also they, in their bequeathment, allowed the local university geology department to take a small sample so they could better understand the history of this boulder too. Because I know this because I was taking a geology class at my university, and that's how I heard about this. Geology people are fascinating. They're right up there with bird people. So yeah, I guarantee you, every geologist you've ever met has like a whole drawer full of pet rocks.
Yes.
They don't necessarily paint their pet rocks, but they've named all of them and can tell you exactly the geographic location they got each rock from. So again, I am not here to yuck anyone's yum.
But, find something that you can nurture. We all feel better as humans when we can nurture.
Do you know what geologists like to nurture their pet rocks with?
No.
Moss and lichen. And little tiny gnome and fairy figurines. Mm-hmm.
I think that's the part that was missing in Discworld.
Geologists?
Is the what were the creatures made out of rock?
Yeah, creosote and trolls. The trolls.
Trolls. They were missing that. Yes, they did. They did use moss and lichen, but really, I'm surprised they did not hire fairies.
Yes.
And gnomes for fashionable events and gatherings.
I just want you to hang out at our party. Just be a gnome over there.
Or just to sit on my shoulder.
Yes, that could have actually been pretty cool looking. Now I have all sorts of ideas. Okay, so on that note, anyhow, so next week August 9th, we're going to talk about late bloomer development. Pretty much the entire premise of the show is that neurodivergent people develop on a different schedule than neurotypical people. And it is usually or often unique to that individual neurodivergent person. But it doesn't mean they're not going to develop in that way. It just means they're developing on their own schedule about various things. So sometimes they develop early on some things, and sometimes they develop much later. So for instance, I had empathy at, the tender age of preschool, and yet I did not learn to tie my shoes or read till I was 9 years old. It didn't mean I was never going to learn to tie my shoes, although my parents were pretty much like, it'll never happen. She's going to be in Velcro her whole life.
They were certain of that,
We're so appalled about Velcros, but I love Velcros, so whatever. But by 7, they had given up hope that I was ever going to get out of Velcros. Y'all, I love the sound of Velcro, but anyway, that's all another thing. But it was just, I was developing on my own schedule. So we're going to talk about how to tell about what you need to know about late bloomer development. Because in our family, we just call neurodiversity late blooming. Or, oh, they're a late bloomer, dear. Or, oh, you're a late bloomer, honey. Don't worry about it. Because late blooming implies there will be blooming. It's just going to happen a later date. It's not that they will not bloom. They are not a dud. People are so concerned about being a dud or someone else being a dud. There's no duds. Everybody blooms. You got to give them the time, and the nurturing helps. So we're going to talk about late bloomer development. It's going to be grand. You should all come. I may be biased, but I think you should all come. We'd love to see you. We hope you'll come. And yes, the after party is about to happen. So we will see you all next week. Oh, and before I forget, okay. So tomorrow, I will be, and I wish I had asked, I'll be on either Chandra's YouTube or Twitch to tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I have no idea what we're doing. I assume we're writing. I don't know, actually. But I will be on Chandra's on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Tom and I will be doing another pop-up dinner and a game. And we're going to play, what is the game we played last week?
We'll be continuing The Secret of Monkey Island.
Yes, The Secret of Monkey Island. It's going to be grand. That was a lot of fun. And so we're going to do more of that. And then...
Will we ever reach that hot governor's bedroom?
I mean, she's hot for our character, isn't she? She's into this.
She's been waiting there for a long time.
Right? But let's see, that's Elaine. I think the governor is Elaine. And then there's the swordswoman, Carla. I don't know. I think there's a lot of romance. And I know it's too much to ask for a polyamorous relationship, but, I can hold out hope until they dash it. So, okay. Anyhow, I'm not going to say more. So, we're doing that Wednesday on our Twitch channel, Glory Race the Blues. We're going to do that Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Dinner and The Secret of Monkey Island. Woo-hoo-hoo. And then Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we will have the Coffee Bunny Cafe. You should totally come on Twitch. It's going to be lovely. I will be crocheting more flowers because this is how I deal with my stress. Flowers make me happy. I love crocheting them, y'all. So
did you see the
suggestions or recommendations?
Weightlifter?
Wait, what? Oh, the knitting? Yes. Did you see that he knit himself a bag that had the Union Jack on one side and the Japanese sun on the other to hold his gold medal?
No, I hadn't seen
Yes.
finished.
I sent you an article. It's in the Telegram reading room.
Thank you, Nia.
That will be another great time. Oh, thank you. So that is the schedule. Also, yeah, there'll be stuff. There'll be stuff. Yeah. There'll be stuff. So yeah, stay tuned and we hope to see you next week. Oh, and now I'm about to play the outro with the other half of the music Charlie composed for us. So I hope you enjoy. It is awesome. And I just want a quick reminder to remind you that the links for Charlie and Project Shadow is down below. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.